Good evening once again, and welcome to the new series, The Priceless Legacy, where we are talking about Jeanette Campbell. We are hearing the story as shared by her daughter, Dayna Campbell, and the priceless legacy she left behind. Last week, you heard about Jeanette's love for people and the welfare program she ran at Herbert Morrison High School. And as her daughter said, she was the welfare program. And she wrote in her community, her husband, and how they ended up without bed sometime because her bed wasn't hers, her clothes wasn't hers, nothing was hers. Everything was shared with people who needed the help. This week, we're going to hear how her daughter never wanted to be like her mother. She just went the different way, and we're going to hear that story this evening. I never wanted to be my mother. Dayna, thank you again for joining us on Let's Get Loud. And we're going to hear the wonderful story you have to share about how you never wanted to be your mother.
Thank you again, Ingrid, for having me and for giving me the privilege to bring honor to my mother's name.
Yes.
You know. And I'm saying that no because, of course, though I am saying that no, there was a time when I did not want to be like my mom.
Tell us more about that.
Ah, My mom, there were many facets to that um, image I had of her. Growing up, when, even though she was giving away everything, we didn't have much. We didn't
Right.
have a lot. I mean, we were managing, but she would give
Managing
up.
on a pastor's budget, eh?
Right. And my father wasn't the kind of, pastors who write books and have podcasts and all of that. He doesn't even use WhatsApp now. So that's just to show you how he was sent as a missionary to a very volatile area in Jamaica. So we always had a very small church in a community that a lot of people don't even want to live in, not even visit.
Wow.
So we always were sent to areas where there were just people less fortunate and who lived always concerned about their safety.
Yeah.
So
So tell us then how you got away from that. I know you left your community and you went off to college. So journey with us and tell us how you moved away from all of that and started your own life.
okay, so growing up not having too much, I wanted to make it big, right? So I
Don't
had
we
great
all?
aspirations. Yes. And I just said, I don't want to be like she's not even trying to get a better paying job or anything. And she give away everything and she doesn't even have much for herself. And
Mm,
it's not like she didn't want to have nicer clothes or it's not like she didn't want to buy a house. They never even bought a house. But she was more focused on everybody else, And for me, I didn't think anything was wrong with giving at all. As I said, that's the way I grew up.
right.
But I I just wanted more, I just wanted more.
What's more for you though?
More from me was that being able to have enough to give away and still have enough to take care of my needs, my
Okay.
wants,
Okay.
and my reach my own goals too.
Mm,
So it's like bringing balance to it. But I think I went to the extreme
wow.
because when I moved away to Kingston, I was to finish school. I started to when I finally got a job, which was a little harder than I thought it was gonna be. I just wanted to give it my all. My father always said to me, whatever your hands find to do,
Do
do it
it with
well,
your
do it
might.
as unto God.
Mm,
And so, but I think I still went a little overboard with that because I would be at work until, like even the janitors are finished cleaning up and everybody else is gone and just me and the security guard because I have to go above and beyond, like I always wanted to just accomplish more and to prove myself. So that
but
one,
Dana, when you said prove yourself, who were you proving yourself to?
to be honest, I think, now in hindsight, now that I'm old and I've done a lot of, self reflection, I think it was my father.
Mm.
my father in particular, because my father, he had a subtle way of nudging you a little further every time. Like I would get 98% on the exam. He says, okay, but what happened to the 2%? So, so it's and then with mommy bringing in other young ladies to help them, and him having to help them as well. They developed some good father daughter relationships, and so it became more of a. I was never jealous of the other girls, but then I saw that he realized that a lot of them didn't have fathers, and
Mm.
so he took on the fathering role for a lot of them, maybe taking for granted that
Mm.
I was okay,
Right.
but that made him not as emotionally available for me. If he
When
knew
you
that mommy,
say emotionally available, can you just share a little bit more on that though?
maybe not asking questions that maybe I needed a father to ask, like, how are you doing
Mm.
in
Mm.
terms of relationships with men? These are certain things you should consider when choosing a husband or stuff like that.
Mm.
Those conversations came from mommy, but I think there's something about having that conversation with your dad, and we never really had those conversations. So I think it impacted the way I maybe chose relationships and the validation I sought
Mm.
in that, in the
Okay.
wrong places.
Yeah.
So it really took me off course, but thank God, through the hills and the valleys, God has put me back on course.
Amen.
But during that time, um, the way I saw to seek the validation was if I did well enough, like I made sure to do exceptionally well, then he would, I'd get his attention and
Right.
he'd be happy. I would feel that accomplishment, that
Right.
he was pleased.
Mm.
So I remember I worked at Churches Credit Union, and that at first I was nervous about that job going in, but God really showed up, and God just really blessed me with getting my targets not just met but exceeded.
Wow.
But exceeding the targets actually created more work for me, and I didn't push to create a team or to get the help that I needed,
Ah.
processing the extra loans or going to the extra presentations. I did it all myself because like I'm a superwoman.
Superwoman.
Clearly I thought. But no, I pushed and I tried to do it all myself because I became fiercely independent when I realized that I couldn't necessarily depend on anybody else. Life's experiences had me draw that conclusion. So I
Right.
just tried to do it all myself. And that almost killed me in one breath. But it actually paid off in the sense that I did get Employee of the Year.
Mm-hmm.
And that was like a great achievement. My father still has the trophy that I got. So, but then I realized that there's a cost to that, because when I was to get the award, it's like the Holy Spirit in me said, oh, congratulations. You won an award. You
Mm.
worked hard. Now, if you were to die today and come to heaven, what kind of award would you be getting for what you've done for me? And Ingrid, even though as I talk about it, I moved to tears. Because one thing mommy always reminded me, it's what we do for the Lord that really matters.
Amen. Mm.
And I had pushed that to the side without even realizing it, and was just working hard to prove something, and it didn't even something that didn't even need to be proven, you know and I remember the Sundays while I was during that year, I would go to church and I would be so tired, and I would just be watching the time and be like, okay, I need to check off the box that I went to church, because
Check the
mommy is going
box.
to call me. She's going to ask me if I went to church, and I need to be able to say yes. So it just became about checking the box. And it wasn't about getting involved with the programs like I did when I was at Daddy's church. I used to
Right.
get involved a lot more. So I definitely compromised a lot there, and I compromised on a lot of other things too, where I know God was not pleased, and it definitely impacted me being able to stand up and talk to somebody about the Lord, because I just felt like my life was far from what I know God, well, it was far from what God would be pleased with.
Hmm.
And so how do I then witness to someone when my own life is not, I'm
Oh,
not a good ambassador for him. I didn't
mhm.
feel like I was a good ambassador for him, like my mom was, or
Okay.
as the saint. So yeah.
Wow. So just moving away from everything and just trying to accomplish things just to get an approval, approved, took you away from the whole eagerness, the whole hunger and thirst after righteousness. You left that. You left what you thought your mother was overdoing, as most of us who were raised
Hmm.
like that thought. Like, I know I'm guilty because my mother was overzealous for the Lord as well, and I just didn't want to be my mother. I'm like, God, everybody you meet, you have to talk about the Lord. Who? But you said something. You said only what we do for the Lord will remain. That
Yes.
even that trophy, you don't even have it. Your dad has it.
Yeah. I haven't seen it in
But
years.
the good thing about that is that a trophy taught your lesson. The whole going after the things of this world, the things that we lay up and moth and rust and dust take over, and thieves eventually break in and steal them.
Mhm.
But your mom laid up treasure in heaven. And that's where she is, the priceless legacy that money can't buy. The what you call the card? The American Express. Is it American Express? For everything else, there is MasterCard. MasterCard.
Mastercard.
Right. For everything else, there's a MasterCard.
Mhm.
Right. But her legacy, the life she lived for Christ, the love she had for people, you
Mhm.
know, I am thankful that you saw that. And when we return on the next episode, we're going to see how that whole influence, that whole impact on your life has made you into, or is shaping you into the person that you are becoming, a person who too will leave a priceless legacy. Of that, I am sure, enough that you're going to leave one.
Yes.
And when we return on the next episode, we're going to hear about now you want to be like your mother. Don't we all? We run away from the things or from the
It
people
has
that
a sense of humor.
we run away from them, thinking I will never be like you.
Right?
And then we end up back full circle and we find ourselves looking like our mothers,
Yes.
talking like our mothers, telling
Yes.
about Jesus like our mothers.
Yes.
So, Dayna, thank you again. I really appreciate the fact that you have taken the time to just share this story, share your story, your mom's story, so that others out there who are trying to store up things here on earth will realize that only what we do for Christ will remain, and that we all need to leave the legacy that Jeanette lived, the priceless legacy. So until next week, thank you again. And viewers, thank you for joining us. And remember, only what you do for Christ will remain. And until next week, stay tuned. Remember, if you haven't subscribed, to do so. And of course, make sure you hit that notification bell so that you will be made aware of when the new video comes on. Thank you again, Dayna, and I'll see you next week.
My pleasure.
Let's get loud. Let's get loud.